Yo, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy. I wanted to do another sort of laid back video like this. And if you click the video, first of all, welcome, hello. Really do appreciate it. You're very cool for that. And yeah, I just wanted to sort of share what I've gone through as a gamer, as someone that's invested a lot of time into playing video games, and just sort of touch on a few things as we look at nature documentary stuff. This is a video by the Cat Trumpet. He does great work. This is a 3-hour compilation he's put together. So I hugely appreciate that he's put this together. And go ahead and give him some support if you'd want to check it out. I'll put a link in the description. That'd be awesome. So yeah, just playing a lot of games, you do sort of feel these certain feelings, right? You sometimes have these emotions that wash over you that are strong. Like, should I be doing something else? Is this the right game? Or maybe you're playing a game, all of a sudden you just like turn it off. You're just like, I can't play that anymore. It's horrible. I'll never touch it again. Why does that sort of happen, right? Why are there these big swings of emotion? Um, and for different people, there's obviously going to be different reasons, but I just want to talk in more of a general sense and say that, like, there's a lot of things as a gamer that aren't really talked about. Like, one that I think that is really big, that I think is never really vocalized, is you are proud of things, and that pride is immediately shot down in one way or another, and you're meant to just like immediately move on, even though that really does build a sort of a sense of resentment. When you invest hundreds of hours into a game, into sort of building a skill set in a certain game, or progressing to a certain point in a game, just to share that information with someone, and for that game to be disregarded as bad or uninteresting, even, it's tough because, like, when you invest so much time, um, for it to not get the same sort of reaction from another human, well, all of a sudden your time in that game, you feel invalidated, right? You feel like, well, this isn't this isn't worth my time, and I'm doing something wrong, and I'm going backwards, right, rather than forward. Um, and I think that misses a few key things. I'll sort of just go on a tangent, by the way, in this video, so none of it's gonna make sense, by the way. But you know, I think that, like, that's missing the point, and that video games are meant to be an enjoyable relaxation, sort of luxury. At the end of the day, they are sort of a leisurely activity. But we as humans have found ways to basically contextualize different reward systems and embed those reward systems into the games, right? A lot of these games, that sense of grinding, right? Like that sense of investing time. Um, there's check marks and checklists. That time will get you certain things. Those certain things will get you certain rewards, and thus you can be prideful of that and show that off to other players and leverage that in whatever way the game allows you to leverage it. Um, I don't know if I'm making any sense because it is 5 in the morning and my brain isn't what it used to be. But I think you know what I'm getting at. Look at this beautiful shot. Right? If you were to hike to this mountain, you could take a picture and show people that. And as humans, it's very easy to relate to that because it's a huge mountain, right? And people are animalistically, biologically, like, primally wired to understand, like, how much physical effort it takes to get to the top of that, um, and relate to all of the obstacles that nature might bring, or the weather might bring, or wildlife might bring, right? But with video games, a lot of people still in society aren't really wired to be able to relate to that, um, into that accomplishment that you're proud of, right? Like, there's been handful of MMOs and stuff that I've played that I've, like, then tried to share to people, and all of it's sort of lost, and they can't really relate to it, right? And it feels bad. You question your time, even though as you get older, you realize like this is silly because you should do what you want. And as that certainly recently, I've become so okay with no matter what I think is fun, I'm gonna do, and I'm not worried about what other people think because having fun and enjoying the moment is what's worth it. Um, I think that No Man's Sky is one of the best games I've ever played, and there's not too much of a purpose in that game. It's just you're meant to be and enjoy the moment. Nothing's permanent, you know. And I think of people that spend their life sort of in solitude. I hear stories of certain monks, like Tibetan monks, from what I understand, meditating for extreme amounts of time on the top of the hills, from on top of the Himalayas, the hills, from what I understand. And you know, their sense of they're after a sense of peace, right? Um, and everyone is chasing a sense of peace and a sense of luxury. So if games bring you a sense of peace, then they're good for you, right? It's as simple as that. And you don't need to question your time any more like beyond that, right? And I've gotten so many good beneficial like qualities out of video games. Like my personality has been shaped by video games. Like I've loved every second I've spent with video games. I think Skyrim has added tremendously to my personality, to who I am, um, etc. Right? I think Smash Brothers has added to that. I think Zelda Twilight Princess, the first game that really challenged me and forced me to have to like figure a bunch of things out. Um, that made me who I was. That Game Boy Kirby game I had, where you had to match tiles on my Game Boy, my one of my first games I ever had. That made me who I was, right? Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards, and of course the video games associated with those that I had. By the way, the Rose Duelist Pokemon, or sorry, Yu-Gi-Oh game on the PlayStation 2 was like the best game ever made. Rose Duelist, baby, yeah. So, there's so many things to say. But that was sort of like my first little tangent. The second thing, I guess, was you know keeping everything in moderation, right? That's sort of like a all encompassing idea. Um, but addiction and what it is to really be a gamer when you can't really get away from a game, or you just have to be playing a game for one reason or another, and you're not really understanding why. I mean, it's okay to be so used to a routine, that you're like set on the routine, and even though you don't necessarily want to be playing the game, you're still going to do it because you're so used to going through those motions. And you don't really know what to do with yourself if you're not doing that necessarily. um, and so I think if you get to that point, if you start noticing those signs, I would say it's good to incorporate like other ways of like getting outside or doing something else to mix up the monotony or just the general repetition, right? Like I found that going for runs every once in a while is just amazing. Literally just if it's around the block, up the street, and then back, like that's freaking good enough. If you get a sweat on and you come back and sweat, or sorry, you come back and shower, then you feel like $1,000,000, and it mixes up all your biology as well, which is good. Get that circulation going. It's good for you, and it just allows you to sit down and then appreciate the game even more, right? That's one thing too. That's like a hidden jitsu, right? Like if you can find ways to appreciate the game even more and sit down, you're gonna just love it, and you're just have a much better time if you can find ways to appreciate it more, right? Like I know that sounds so simple and it's so stupid, but yeah, like actively think about ways to do that is basically what I'm trying to say. Like actively think about that and don't forget that. Look at those chairs there, absolutely incredible. Um, so that's kind of just a couple things I wanted to touch on. I have a couple family members that have never really played games, right? And I really want them to play games so that they can relate more, and certain things like that. Or maybe you have friends that used to play, now they don't play, right? Um, and sort of just those emotions as a gamer, right? You need to learn that like you'll eventually sort of go full circle. People will come back, things will go in and out. Maybe you'll come back to a game yourself, right? Maybe you'll take a break. All of these things are okay because if something replaces the game, then it's worth it, right? If you find that it's worth it, then it's worth it. That's why you're not playing the game, because something else is more important and more um, you've deemed it more worthy, right? So I wouldn't overthink it too much. I wouldn't ever like feel bad about playing video games because they're just like meant to fill the space, meant to make sense of this life. Like look at this beautiful world we have here. Of course, we're meant to explore this as much as we can, see as much of this as we can, but at the same time, remember that video games do offer you so much comfort and so much beauty and so much like special uniqueness as well. But don't forget about how beautiful this world is, and keep everything in moderation. Um, and I think that's just the key is moderation, right? And trying to surround yourself with good people. Reach out to your friends and family that you haven't, especially like your friends that you haven't reached out to in a long time. Like I have to do that way more. Um, and try not to burn bridges because I've like burned a million freaking bridges, and I've definitely been so addicted to games that it's gotten in the way of things. And when you start to recognize those patterns, you need to like actively try to make steps to break up that bad habit, right? Um, so hey, anyway, guys, I hugely appreciate the support. It's early in the morning. I thought I'd just randomly blab about stuff. This might be on loop, as I think we may have seen this before, maybe not. But anyway, guys, hugely appreciate it. Much love. Stay safe out there. Keep on gaming. Um, and see you in the next one.